Hey, it's November 3rd. We'll do a little recap from the week. Halloween was awesome. We were shelling out candy this year. Last year we didn't have like many kids at all come. It was really kind of weird. I don't know if it was because of the rain last year or my wife thinks it's because perhaps we didn't decorate. We had some pumpkins and stuff out, but like honestly, we had maybe like no more than 10 kids last year. So this year we added some decorations and stuff, and I think we had about 28 people come, so it was more for sure, but it still didn't feel like a lot to me. Not really sure why. I think we have lots of kids in our neighborhood, so anyway, I thought the decorations were pretty cool, so it's a little bit disappointing, but anyway, what can you do? I think the bigger concern for me is that we have all of this chocolate left over. And I don't do well with having chocolate in the house because I will eat it all. And while that sounds nice, I have yeah, my willpower kind of starts and stops in the store. So when it comes to eating well and stuff like that, I can't control myself if it's in the house. But that's gonna be a little problematic when it comes to the bodybuilding show prep that starts in December. So we do have it might sound kind of ridiculous, but we have locks for the cupboards because I, like I said, I won't be able to stop myself. So I won't know what the codes and stuff are to open the cupboards with the candy and the other stuff that's really not my prepared food or like dishes and things like that. So yeah. Anyway, Halloween was good. It was kind of a nice little thing to drop into this super busy week. So talk about work a little bit. I think in the past videos I had mentioned that for me we had this really crazy period at work where we have planning and sort of planning for the upcoming months, and as well as they're not performance reviews, but kind of we call them connects at Microsoft. And the idea with a connect is that it's like a conversation to reflect on sort of accomplishments and level setting expectations for the upcoming period as well. So it's partially nice to mix with the planning and stuff because if people have ideas for things they want to work on and all that kind of stuff, then great, we can try to help align it and make sure people are working on challenging, interesting, high business impact kind of things, especially aligning it with their stage of career. But the really big problem with overlapping these things is we had incredibly tight deadlines to get these conversations done with employees, and planning deadlines were also incredibly tight. So it's to me, it's like there's only so much time, and one of these things, if not both, probably both, are going to end up suffering when you're trying to put them together and overlap them like that. So, uh, what's I just kind of wanted to reflect on this because actually it's all wrapped up this week as of yesterday at the end of the day. It's basically wrapped up on the connect side of things. And planning was supposed to wrap up at the beginning of this week. That's like basically ending right now. That's what the deadline was. And what's actually happened in reality is that it's just been continuing on. So for me, that makes a lot more sense. I'm kind of bothered by the fact we had these really tight deadlines and it's been really like, I don't know, anxiety inducing to try and get everything done. But we just kept saying, like, well, we're not ready. We need more time, or we can't have this meeting. We have to push it. And no one's complained. Like, nothing bad has happened. And in fact, we're just able to continue planning as we might expect. So part of me is like really happy about that because that means that I can actually spend proper time planning. And for the record, when it comes to planning, I come from a like a startup world where planning looked like we're done our sprint, what's going in the next sprint, not hey, we're planning what's the next quarter, the next half of the year going to look like. It doesn't really personally it doesn't really align with me because the type of work that we're going to be doing, I can guarantee it's going to change in the next quarter, the next 6 months. That's the only thing I can guarantee is whatever we're planning is going to look different. So I understand the value of trying to do that ahead of time, especially when you have a lot of partner teams and like, complexities between like how teams are going to have to work together on big goals. But the the reality is the amount of effort that goes into making it accurate in terms of like how many people do we need on this and how many weeks is that going to take? Like no one knows. No one knows. It's going to be wrong, and as much time as people put into trying to make it accurate, like it's wasted effort, unfortunately. I don't know. I've not been doing this. I wrote this somewhere like on LinkedIn recently. Like I haven't been doing this for quite half my life yet, but almost. And planning is never accurate, ever, especially like estimations for time involvement. So, um, I like making sure we're aligning on the themes of things, the people that are interested in working on it, trying to understand dependencies and trying to understand like what the goals are. But getting into the implementation details, like absolutely not. Getting into timelines with respect to like exactly how many weeks or days it's going to take, absolutely not. All that kind of stuff, when you start projecting it out further and further, the less, like, the more impossible it becomes. If you're planning for like a day, can you get down to like an hour level? Sure, right? Maybe still not even accurately, certainly not by the minute, but a week at a time, like, okay, you're probably going to be off by a day or two, right? A month, you're probably going to be off by potentially up to a week. And when you start talking about multiple months, like, there's no way you're going to know by how many weeks or how many days it's going to take. You could be close, but the amount of consistency, unless your work is extremely consistent, which ours isn't, it's going to be off. So, trying to make it super accurate to me doesn't make sense. What I like using is like a forecasting model that's based on history. So instead of trying to like come up and pick and choose what the right, like what we think and predict what the right number is going to be, just look at like historical evidence and say something like this took this long before, put that number in there, move on. Like it's such a like a low amount of time, and the accuracy of it, like it's gonna be close enough. So anyway, I just wanted to share that because planning, different ways we plan kind of either irk me or I can get on board with them pretty quick. So wrapping up this week, I get to do some planning today. So Fridays are no meeting days in our organization, which ends up meaning that as a manager, I get some meetings, but they're not recurring at least. It's usually kind of ad hoc, like, hey, I know your calendar's free, let's like catch up on something. And most of my job as a manager is going to meetings and aligning with people on things. So I have some of that today. I'm filming this pretty early. It's still before 7 a.m. I've done a really good job at waking up like um, before 6 a.m. this week, which is really cool. That doesn't usually happen for me. So um, filming this early, so I'm going to be doing planning today, which I'm actually excited for because I have mostly a full day aside from a couple of like catch-up meetings. So that means all of the planning that I was nervous about rushing through and I was missing because I had some scheduled vacation, like I'm gonna be able to catch up on that because I've been picking away at it, but I haven't sat down to like do the minimum level of effort for like scheduling that I want to do, which is, do we have enough people that are interested and have experience in these areas and that's aligned to their career? And I've just finished my connect, so this is kind of perfect. And if that roughly fits, then I'm going to schedule the work. So I think I can do that all between today and Monday. And I feel really good about that. So I know I'm like 10 minutes into this already, just talking about work, but the only other thing that I was kind of bummed out about is that I like doing my connect conversations where we're doing these reviews together with like myself and the team that I manage. And I like going through this talent guide we have. It's like a rubric, but I had to tell them all like I don't have time for that this week, which is a really shitty thing to say to people because to me it's like I'm not prioritizing the team. And I told them all every like the first thing I said in every single meeting was an apology. I wanted to express that I was really sorry and that it felt like personally I'm disappointed in myself because I feel like I'm not doing my job, but I'm still doing the talent guide conversations with them. It just has to be after this week and after next week because there's other business travel going on. So I'm not happy about that. I'm pretty disappointed in myself, but the timing I feel like was outside of my control. So people were very receptive to that. They're excited to still do those conversations. And they said it's totally fine that it's not happening at the same time, but I'm personally like just a little bothered by that. So anyway, let's work. Enough of that. Meal coach stuff we'll talk about super quick. I have um I guess some good news. So on I'm still waiting for a couple of responses on LinkedIn from reaching out to people. I've had some people acknowledging like, hey, like I know I need to follow up. I plan on doing it, just need a bit more time, so that's cool. I have um, I've talked about a pro bodybuilder at the gym I go to who, it's been interesting because he's been wanting to like kind of progress like where we're at for a while. Um, but it kind of seemed like he was dodging me for a bit, and then literally the past two times I've seen him at the gym, and he trains clients like in their obviously their workouts, but also for posing. The past two times he's seen me at the gym, this week and a bit of last week, he has stopped what he's doing with his client, run across the gym to run up to me and say, "Hey, I really want to sit down and talk with you. So like we just need to get some time." Which is incredible because it's a total paradigm shift from what I was seeing before, which was he seemed very interested, and then we just didn't get to sit down and go through it. So, um, yeah, I think he's got a big show for clients this weekend, and then after that, I'm gonna try to get a hold of him next week and just get some time together. But something really cool that happened is when one of these interactions, I was congratulating a friend from the gym on his engagement, and this individual had come up and it was doing the thing where he was like, "Hey, like, sorry to interrupt. I know I have to sit down with you." After running away from one of his clients to tell me this, and he had turned to our friend, which is mutual between us, and he said, "Has he told you about the meal planning app that he has?" And my friend was kind of trying to, sass me a little bit, and he's like, "Well, he's mentioned it, but he never said it was ready." So my friend actually has, well, his new fiance, she is one of the trainers under this bodybuilder, and she has some clients. So he was saying like my fiance and I will use it, and I'll get her to try and use it with her clients. So really awesome. Like it's just about trying to get some momentum. So she actually has her show this weekend. So all three of them are going to be super busy until after this weekend. And then I'm going to try to sit down with all of them individually and go through it. So that's really positive news for us. Excited about that. And the only other thing I'll mention is I have a call, I think it's the end of next week, to talk with a like a I guess they're like a smaller sort of marketing firm, and I know the founder from when I was working at the startup before Microsoft. He was there pretty early on to help with like marketing and things like that, and I think early on into that he formed his own business. I think they had it on the side, him and his wife, and then he was like, "It's we're going full time with it," which is obviously great for them. So I reached out to him. He gave me a couple tips and said, "Hey, like let's just schedule like a discovery call and I can try to give you some pointers." So um really thankful for that. It's cool like uh when you think about networking and stuff, like at that point in time, I never would have been like, "Oh, he would be a great person to connect with about like marketing," even though that's like what he does. I'm like, I would never need that, whatever. But I was like, he's an awesome guy. Like it always felt like these really close friendships. But in hindsight, now that we've moved on from, working together, it's like, man, I've met some really amazing, like talented people and they're really close friends. So, I mean, he's not a close friend now because obviously we've been apart for a very long time, but the camaraderie, like that kind of thing was so great that it feels like you're able to pick up with anyone. And thinking about it, I'm just like, man, like there's a lot of like really talented people that I should be thankful that I've met and probably should kind of lean into some of my own personal network a little bit more because there's just so many talented people. So excited to meet with him. I think that's going to be cool. And then speaking of that, and speaking of meeting people, talk about dev leader stuff a little bit. I do have a call today with a sort of a LinkedIn friend, if you will. He's a creator on LinkedIn and YouTube as well. So um, we've exchanged a few messages. I think for him, like my, it's not like my YouTube channel is like the biggest YouTube channel or something. I'm still very small and trying to grow. It's growing steadily, which I'm happy about. Um, but so he's a little bit newer to that, but his newsletter is doing extremely well. And in contrast, pardon me, in contrast, my newsletter, I'm happy with my newsletter. This is going to be the one I'll put together today is going to be the 16th issue. Like I'm super pumped about it. It's it's a bunch of work to do, but I feel like I have the momentum. I'm still adding value, like doing exclusive articles on top of like the recaps and some other things, early access to videos. Like I don't know. I personally feel like it's free and it's like if you like the stuff I'm doing already, it's just more of that. And some exclusiveness too, which that's pretty cool to me. So I don't personally, I don't think that I have an issue with the value of my newsletter. I think I have an issue with how it's being marketed. And the reason I say that is other people posting on LinkedIn or other places about like how long they've been running their newsletter and how many like subscribers they have. I'm seeing people with no exaggeration, like multiple orders of magnitude more subscribers, which is completely nuts to me. And that's not to say like I'm not trying to diminish their newsletter at all. Um, I think that there's really great creators. They probably have awesome newsletters, but the way that I look at that is like if I reflect on the amount of time that they're showing their growth trajectory versus the growth of mine, I'm like there's clearly something I'm missing because unless they're doing something with their newsletter that is like I don't know, like how do I don't know the right way to frame this, but like I feel like you need to be telling other outlets like social media platforms, wherever, about your newsletter so people discover it. Like people don't discover it by reading it, they had to discover it in the first place from somewhere else, if that makes sense. So by having, just to give you an example, if I had, 10,000 people on an email list and I pressed a button to send my first newsletter issue, I wouldn't necessarily expect that the growth would be tremendous at that point. And that's because I don't have other sources directing traffic to sign up for my newsletter. So I personally feel like I'm missing something really huge. And so where I'm going with this is this individual was like, hey, I would be happy to, kind of give you some tips on how he's been doing it, which is awesome. And he wanted to chat a bit about how YouTube is going. So, um, like I said, I don't claim to be an expert. I would never like charge people money for like how I've been like learn about my YouTube success. Like if I have tons more subscribers one day, sure, maybe, but like, I would never like offer coaching for it at this point or like a course that people have to pay money for. Like, no, I'm learning, and if you want to learn with me, like, cool. So I'm really thankful for this interaction. So I have a call today. It's on the opposite side of the world, like exactly the opposite side. So it's kind of fun to schedule. But yeah, I'm really excited for that. So that's one thing. I mentioned YouTube channel growth is kind of slow and steady. The subscriber count goes up, so that's cool. What's really interesting, and this is a bit of a kind of background for folks that aren't totally familiar with YouTube, but like subscriber count's not the biggest thing. Like you in terms of getting monetized, you need a certain number, but watch time is important too. And in terms of overall like YouTube success metrics, really what YouTube is looking for is just like you continue to have content where people are like continuing to watch. So it's not watch time on a video necessarily, but like just keeping people coming back to like view your content or continuing to watch it. So if you can get people watching video after video in a row, like that's really what YouTube wants. So the subscriber count going up is great. It helps. But what's been really interesting is I had a wave of a week or two where I had like my growth kind of like started to like go exponential. And in my head, I was like, I haven't done anything magical, so what's up? And I think what happened is I had a couple of videos that were um, like YouTube was putting in front of people, and it was going really well. And so my watch time skyrocketed in terms of like lagging watch time. They do it over the past week or 28 days or something. So that was going up an incredible amount. I was getting, I don't know, like 4 to 5 times as many subscribers per day. So I was like, holy crap, it's happening, it's happening. And then it stopped. So it's pretty cool. So it's unfortunate, right, that it stopped, but the growth is still there, but the watch time is dropping like rapidly and it's lagging watch time. So I feel like there was this period, like I said, where people were kind of getting in front of my videos, watching them, subscribing, watch times climbing. They're discovering some of my other videos as a result, so getting that chain reaction. And then what I don't know and can't prove is like why was there a wave of people searching for these? I feel like YouTube put it in front of people because YouTube puts videos in front of audiences to kind of test them out. But these ones weren't super new. So it's not like in the beginning when you publish a video, YouTube will put it in front of a sample audience. And if that does really well, they'll expand it. And if it's not, they won't necessarily expand it to that audience. They might test another smaller group. So I don't know what happened. I feel like YouTube, hit the money with putting it in front of some other audience and then that kind of ballooned for a bit, but it stopped. But I think the idea is that a lot of my content, because it's educational, is really optimized for search or should be. And as a result, when I publish a video, it's not, I feel like it's not ever going to be like a Mr. Beast thing where I publish it and everyone's like, oh my goodness, like it's the most exciting thing. Like we're talking about software engineering and writing code. It's exciting for me, but I can't imagine for, a billion people like it's gonna be that exciting. I'm not really an entertainer like that, so I don't anticipate that ever happens. But I think by having a lot of helpful content, people will search for these topics over time and then kind of discover other videos of mine. So that's the approach. It might mean it's a little slower, but I feel like it's going to be consistently kind of increasing over time. So happy about that. I'm still chipping away at this really big project deliverable that I have. I have about 6 weeks to go, just under. I feel good about it. If I look at the progress kind of uh, on the tracker that I'm using, it looks a little bit slow. So am I concerned? No, because I had a bunch of stuff like taking time away. Like I was on vacation and had COVID back to back. So 2 weeks of the past little period like was really difficult for me or slash impossible to get any of it done. But the thinking through it and brainstorming what I wanted to put together, um, that did work. So I'm kind of maybe spoiling it a little bit. I do have to be recording myself on a camera. So um, this weekend in particular, so some this evening, I might do some editing this evening. And then tomorrow is like it's all day doing that. And that's going to be the kind of the theme for the next few weekends where I'm going to really make a lot of a dent in that. So I think that's mostly it. Maybe the only other thing to mention is that I ended up mounting this camera that I use to the wall. It used to be off my desk. So if I was touching my keyboard, the camera would bounce and it was driving me nuts. But I think I can't really tell. I'm shaking my whole desk now. You can see the mic moving because that's off the desk, but I think the camera is actually stable, so it's working. Um, yeah, it was a subtle thing, but I would be editing videos and I'm like, man, like if I have to type on my keyboard or touch a button or move the mouse or something while I'm talking at the camera, I could see it doing this. no good. So little things like that. That's not like it's gonna get me more subscribers or anything, but it's a little bit more professional. So just thought I'd share that. I think that's it. This is a pretty long one, 25 minutes. So I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for, supporting everything I'm doing. I do really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy kind of seeing what's going on behind the scenes. So we'll see you next time, and thanks again.